my camera was out of space, so I had to delete a few things. So I'm gonna probably make this, speed it up a little bit. Anyway, I was saying that the raspberries struggled because of how dry it was. And normally these raspberries produce right up until frost, till a hard frost, in fact. So I'm hopeful that when we get some moisture, or a little more moisture, that they'll kick into gear again. Asparagus, just forget about it. Incredible. Just incredible. Bees are doing great. In fact, yesterday was a remarkable day. I think the rain triggered enhanced flow, and both colonies brought in more pollen yesterday, every time I checked it, than any other time during the year, which you normally don't expect this late in the year, but they were really cranking. Pollen coming in regularly. Alright, there's those giant sunflowers up there. Enormous. The camera doesn't do it justice how big those tallest ones are. Speaking of goldenrod, look at this. That's gorgeous. That's just magnificent. I've got a new appreciation for goldenrod. And by the way, I have learned that goldenrod is actually planted as an ornamental in some places, and I can see why looking at this. But goldenrod is not ragweed. Those are two different plants. And goldenrod gets a sort of a bad name for itself. It's not what causes, ragweed is what causes the allergies, not goldenrod. Anyway, so it doesn't really look it probably to you, but because you didn't see it before and after, but I did a big cleanup in this bed here. I took out most of the dead vines, took out all the cucumbers, which are shot. There are some delicata that you'll see. Hey pup, how's that raspberry? Don't eat too many. Alright, back to the tour. Some pretty nice cherry peppers in here, I think you'll agree. So anyway, I took all the cucumbers out, and pretty much whatever was dead. You can see in the background there's some dead delicata vines, but I want to leave, if the delicata has some growth in them, like these vines look pretty good, and I want to leave those on there because I don't know how long these are going to store. And the longer they're left on the vine, you know, they'll hopefully a little longer on the winter end that they'll last. So anyway, not pretty and organized and clean and so forth. But much cleaner than it had been. A lot of peppers in there to pick. Some nice delicata still on the vine. And here's a lot of the winter squash and pumpkins and so forth that I picked. Pretty good crop. Not as much butternut squash as I've had in the past. Partly because I put a lot of delicata in, and those gourds raised a lot of hell. But that's a nice harvest of butternut squash. Not great on the pumpkins either, although for our needs sufficient. But I remember planting a lot of pumpkins and I really didn't get much. That bed is very dry. I'm going to add some wood chips and grass clippings over there over the balance of the fall to improve that. I've picked this Roma tomato 3 times already. These are probably ready to be picked, but they could get a little redder. And then here's just, you know, a boatload of decorative gourds and you know, some nice delicata squash that I've spoken so highly of. Still some nice pretty flowers. They'll go right to frost, I think. If there's any, we'll keep feeding the hummingbirds. I mentioned some tired tomato plants. You can see them in here, but can't begin to tell you how many tomatoes I've... Mostly Romas, that's what I planted most of. Just still plenty to come along. Spaghetti squash in the back there. So here was the pumpkin patch. And you can see that grass I cut once. I've got to get back in here and lower the mower and cut. But you can see it laying some weeds along the top here. There's some wood chips on the side. I'm going to just build this up with compost to hopefully improve some of the moisture holding properties and maybe some nutrients. Leaving whatever sunflower still has seeds on them, I'm leaving them for the birds rather than cut them down. Kale bed, looking good considering the heat and the dryness and the time of year. And I'm very optimistic we'll have a good fall. We'll have all the kale we can eat between now and very hard frost, which will do them in. Let's see. Sell some Swiss chard. Got some brown leaves, understandable given the conditions we've had, but we've had some moisture, plenty of good green growing, so I think we'll be fine there. Beets, disappointed. I see some that are big enough to eat, but a lot that aren't. I'm not sure. I got to figure it out. We love beets, but haven't had a lot of success. Beans, on the other hand, have been just fabulous for me this year. Here's some bush beans that have sort of been staggered. They keep producing more than we can eat. Nice zinnias. Hummingbirds like. I like. Pole beans, starting to get tired, a little ragged. The heat and the dryness for sure. And once again, I'm hopeful that with a little more moisture we can jumpstart. And there's the pup in the background, of course. Grazing, looking for more. And you can see in the background, you see the... I love listening to the chickadees and the titmouse. You can see in the upper left hand of that plant. There he goes. Here's a big eggplant. And I've got several eggplant to come on this. So we'll have at least one more cooking of eggplant. I'm quite certain I've had some skunks. A lot of digging for grubs, I'm sure. And it could be fox, but I've smelled, not this morning, but I've smelled some, what I think is some skunk scent. Not that he sprayed, but. And here's a nice big sunflower. So that's it. That's kind of the tour. You can see it's all cleaned up, nice and neat, and mowed short. Another season starting to wind down. See ya.